And I'm Dave, and this is
Mickey!
Yeah, it's home to fresh, unadulterated ideas and conversations in the chat room, and a place to get your merch. This is show number 463.
360 and 400.
Catch us, not like a disease. No, that's probably the wrong way to put it. But anyway, I'll still say it. Catch us on air, online, and on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. If you missed Solaris' show, well, you missed a great show because she had tonight, it's the Cyber Witch Cafe with Nish and Montana Jordan, and the topic was the supernatural. It's quite a favourite of ours, isn't it, Mickey?
It is the favourite.
It's the favourite. Mm.
We love the supernaturals.
All of them. It only cost, it's a Patreon thing now. Go to the website, freedomslips.com, and you'll find a way to get into the archives, but they only cost around about, say, $5 a month to subscribe to those. So do that for yourself, and then you can binge. Who doesn't like binging? Especially in this COVID-friendly society we've built for ourselves, where you can go nuts on the binging with all the streaming services we have. Well, you can download the MP3s and listen to them at your leisure. And just for that matter, anyone who has any shows from, when was it, like 2012, Mickey, when we started? Any MP3 format, please let us know, because we're dying to find some old ones that we can't find. All right? So if you've got any of those on a CD, anywhere, I don't care where it is, if you've got it, let me know, and let's see if we can put it back onto our archive. Now, you can check out, in the archives, you can check out our shows, anyone's shows, Solaris' shows. If they're on the station, you've got it. So there's a lot of really entertaining and informative information out there in the archives, and certainly Solaris has great guests and has a great lineup ahead coming for this next year coming as well. So, you know, I said coming in the same sentence twice, and today I said the word really in the same sentence twice, and it's not something I normally do. And while I'm trying to work out why I said the word really in the same sentence today, the mother of my children, my long-suffering partner, said to me, you said really in the same sentence twice? I said, yeah, I am. I'm trying to work it out. Oh, dilemmas. That's what we have to fight every day. There are challenges.
We're fighting the dilemmas.
All of them. And you can only make an informed decision when you have enough information. So I'm going to leave that alone. Look, Mackie and I, Shiny Side Out, we live in Australia. If you haven't already guessed by at least my accent, Mackie's got a kind of really international accent. If we had a guessing game, Mackie, of where you're from, for any new listeners, of course, because all the existing listeners have a clue, and it might be kind of tough. So while I don't hear the Aussie in you, other people would hear that from other countries. They'd hear the Aussie in you as well.
Very true.
But because we're here, we acknowledge the traditional owners or the custodians of the land. Where I live, it's the 𝐫𝐞𝐯𝐶 and Mackie.
And for me, it's the Direct people.
Yes, and where I stay on holidays, it's the Bungalung. And we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. So this is show 463, and if you're not familiar with us, we do 2 separate hour pieces, unless we have a guest that runs for 2 hours. This first half, which will drop the stream at the end, and I do ask that everyone subscribes to our YouTube, because then you've got a copy of our archives, plus the archives that we store also have video related to it, and stories and links and stuff, so that you can get a little more. I'm currently not in the chat room, but I will be there in a minute. That's the nature of the beast we have now, right? We have this new level of interactive radio. So it's really important to remember. So yeah, let's get on to the news. Mackie, How was your week? I'm going to start with that.
Yeah, let's start with that. Look, actually not bad. I mean, it's again, craziness is of course all around, and
Par for the course.
yeah, part of the course. Yeah, that's pretty much true. And I mean, where do you start? I mean, everything that's going on globally, right? It's just it's such a mess and such a hodgepodge. You know, the Chinese threatening Taiwan, and the American administration is trying to find its feet, still trying to impeach Trump. The trial,
executive order champions.
Yeah,
of history.
Buckets. I mean, both of them, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I want to say for Trump, and this is important to understand. Again, not that Dave nor I are particular supporters of either of the candidates. Again, I say 300 million people, those are the two you choose. All right.
Good luck with that.
Exactly. But he did not pardon himself or his family.
No.
I'll give that to him. Right? And also what? Well, if he thought that something was coming his way, right? Anything, whatever it might be. He's not stupid. You can say many things about Donald Trump, but he's not stupid. He would have pardoned himself. So I don't think that these impeachment procedures have a leg to stand on. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I went through his speech prior and looked at the wording. You'll have a hard time proving that he was inciting violence. He said, let's peacefully march to Capitol Hill and cheer on our brave.
That's right.
I can't remember what he said.
That's close. You're not really paraphrasing him. You were pretty much right on track. So, the conversations I've been having, Becky, with friends who I actually know, these are people I know face to face, know them, went to school with them, and what have you. So, hello to you out there. One of the things that I think was the most important conversation here was the generalization of a history of 4 years was the first kind of cab out of the rank to blame for the storming the Capitol. I think that was the opinion that I'm sort of forming everyone's opinion into one. I'm not blaming anyone for saying these words, right? Not at all. I really appreciate the contributions, and I did state that in every one of my posts. The thing is, that's not enough. That isn't actual evidence. So to have incitement, you can't just organize. You can't be party to the organization of a rally. You must have said something that incited them to act in the way that that was against the law. And nothing, Mackie. Could you see anything? Because I saw nothing.
No, not really. So where does it leave it all, right? Well, where does it leave it?
That's a good one.
We are really in uncharted territory. Okay, we are. So let's be very clear. For the longest time, only Washington insiders really were elected to the office. Had been vetted, by the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission and all these wonderful things. And so the first time in a long time, you got someone that was a Washington outsider, right? And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what happened. And he didn't use the playbook. It's a playbook we've been used to. It's not a playbook that the American nation has always used. Yeah, let's be very clear. This is a fairly recent playbook. When I say recent, in the last 60, 70 years. And for you that might, most of that's our lifetime, right? I get that. But ultimately, though, it is not how the United States has always seen itself. Okay, the United States under Woodrow Wilson, for example, or President Monroe, for example, they were very insular. Okay. They were very much looking to America for Americans, and you Europeans, you crazy ones, you do whatever you want. We don't have nothing to do with you. Thank you very much. We really don't want to fight your wars. What's going on? In fact, don't come and then of course World War II comes around and everything changes. But so it's not new. None of this is new. But it came at a time when people thought, they had become used to America as the global cop. the global police officer.
Yeah, that's right.
The sheriff, and Australia was seen as the sheriff or the deputy for the Pacific, which I thought was hilarious. But is that accurate? Yeah, it's probably accurate. But it's expensive and it's untenable over the long term. So that's what Trump did as well. So we can't afford this. What are you doing? You crazy? We can no longer afford to be this global force. The money just isn't there.
That's right. It costs billions a day.
It does. Mm-hmm. Let's be very clear about that, right? So, that's another thing I want to say about Donald Trump. He didn't start any wars.
Yeah, I try to bring that up with people.
Right, it's a fact. He didn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Obama has started. I mean, Clinton, right? They all started something, and everybody thought he would. We
thought North Korea was going to be a crater.
Yeah, to divert attention from whatever his failures or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But that didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And I called it incorrectly, 𝐫𝐸, that they, to stay in power, you more than likely need a war.
You weren't alone.
Yeah.
You were not alone. A lot of people thought that, but they were wrong. I didn't think he would. I mean, you never know, but I didn't think he would. He's just not that guy, right? And he's. I do believe he's. Anyway, so you are now contending again with an administration we all know, and we understand. We know what they're going to do. We know the playbook for the next 4 years. Exactly. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen for the next 4 years because it happened before.
Yeah.
With Donald Trump, you never knew. Is the Donald Trump story over? Maybe the Trump story is not, though.
The office of the former president.
Yeah. The Trump movement is not finished.
Oh, the movement's not finished, no.
Okay, let's be very clear. And I think there will be... somebody's going to run under the Trump banner in 4 years' time. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. Okay?
Yeah.
Of course, look... who? Hard to say. But overall, though, Dave, the week, every week it just brings something new that's crazy. I mean, look at the coronavirus for a second as well, just as a thing, right?
I'm ready.
We have more dead people. We have more infections. We're learning that there are now 3 variants which are more deadly and more infectious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I follow the curve every day, and it's a thing. My cousin's wife, I should say, in Germany, she has COVID, or SARS-CoV-2. She has it, right? Mm-hmm. She's sick, so she's the first person I know personally, in my family that I know is sick with it. It's a thing. It is, and you can say what you want about it. The vaccine is not going to do anything. I did a fairly lengthy post on Facebook. The vaccine is not going to do much for us, okay? What it will do is, it probably will stop you from dying from this disease. That's it. And it will make it less severe, which is great. I mean, not dying is less severe, right? That's good. But also long-term effects should be okay for you, unless you're in a vulnerable group. And it's clear now that the vulnerable group is the elderly and the infirm. Anyone over 65, there are a couple of countries now where they won't administer certain vaccines.
Germany is withholding it, waiting for more information, and so is Australia.
Yeah, so fair enough, good, right? That's responsible government.
Yep.
But it will not bring back normality. Please understand this.
Yeah.
We will not go back to the pre-SARS-CoV-2, COVID and SARS-2, I should say, times, because that's gone. That is gone. Scientists now talked about the 1 in 100 year pandemic, right? This was 1918, Spanish flu, then we had, this one. And now that no one is talking about that anymore. What they're talking about is the next one will be, probably 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. Right? And more and more so, because we're more mobile, there's more global anything really happening. And it's going to stay with us. And just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean you're infectious. You will still carry the virus and make people sick who are susceptible. A vaccine passport is going to be pointless. Okay, I mean it'll be good
unless
for you.
Wish in Australia, unless you wish to use public transport.
Well, but even then, see the thing is this: if you
because they're making it mandatory.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I understand, but that's pointless.
I'm not disagreeing with you about the pointlessness.
Yeah, and look, they will. And I spoke about this, and we spoke. Disincentive is going to be a thing, right? Dave, you said that, and that's how they will introduce it. And good, all right, go ahead and do that. But you can't lull people into a false sense of security. That's criminal. You please don't. It's not good. It's not good.
So look, the hope that was brought to, say, mid last year from the media was the vaccine will fix everything.
Yep.
And when the vaccine was announced, and now we understand what it truly does for us, it's not. So, Mekhi, since our show last week, when we were at 98,000 on the day behind numbers, and now we're at 102, regardless of, and your numbers would still show around about a 4 million increase through the week who have now got the virus. That's a lot of numbers. The 13,500 a day that are dying.
Well, that's what we. I mean, this is against people.
That's what we know. We're going by confirmed numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly that's right. So is that the truth?
Some people are saying it's 10 to 100 times, a factor of 2, 1 to 2.
And you know what? Probably, right? Probably, because we just don't know what we don't know. And it's like what was his name? Rumsfeld. You don't know what you don't know. But that's right. I mean, people made fun of him, but no, look, he wasn't stupid. He's right. We don't know.
That's what a smart person says.
Yeah. Correct.
You admit that if you don't know, you can't know. How do you know if you don't know?
You can't.
Yeah.
So you just that's where you start. That's where you start. Okay. So that's your starting, but we don't. Oh no, we know everything. We know. We are the don't even worry about it. We know all about it. No, we don't. And this ignorance we can't bear, because we need experts telling us what it is, and then once they've given it a name and told us what box it lives in, we go, oh, crisis averted.
It's been named. Look at that. We're all going to be much better off.
Right.
This is where we play the credits, right? No. The credits don't roll yet. What, this isn't where we live happily ever after? No. So Norman Swan, Becky, I saw an interview with him the other day, yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. And he says, in response to the question about the vaccine is here, now, we can relax. He says, well, no, the vaccine has no long-term study, and it reduces the impact of the virus on you as a person, but you still get the virus and spread it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he said, there's no herd immunity. We either all are vaccinated or not, and it doesn't matter. Those who have the vaccine could still get another strain of the vaccine, and it's not tested against yet. Yeah. Just like the people who have currently had the virus, and a new strain comes out, and you can be infected by multiple strains. Mm-hmm. So, when the interviewer, this is on the ABC, when the interviewer asked, well, so thank heavens the vaccine's here and we can all be fine. What about 2023? And he shakes his head. When a chimpanzee refuses something by shaking their head? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what he did. It said, well, we hopefully, fingers crossed, he said, I'm not going to be an idiot and say it. I'm not going to say we're going to be fine because we couldn't be. How do we know now? We just don't know.
We don't know.
We'd be lucky, he said, if things, if we could fly international in 2023.
Yeah, I agree.
But, Bill Gates, Mekhi, that did an interview 2 days ago where he says the next big virus is only, a decade away.
That's exactly right. And
I
a
know.
lot of scientists have been saying that. Now that's a bit flippant, because obviously we should be better prepared now, and there should be a lot more screening and monitoring.
We should have learned a lot from this, right?
We should. Now, will we have? I don't know. But the key thing that we didn't learn, is to diversify our supply
manufacturing. Yeah. Yes.
Okay? The whole
Our supply chains are crazy.
The entire thing, from manufacturing to delivery to consumption, is. Honestly, this time last year, Dave, we discussed this. I said, Dave, what's going to happen is we're going to see a lot more manufacturing in country. We're going to see a lot more this and that. No, none of that. We're going to shorten the supply chain. No, they are still they. No, this is they. These are the money people, and these are the same people, by the way, that just. I don't know. We're going to talk about it in a second. The Wall Street thing with the GameStop thing.
GameStop.
But these are the people that they're starting to lose the most if you change the supply chains, because cheap labor is no longer a thing. You can't do that, and you're going to have pay people the proper cost of their labor in whatever country you choose to be in, which is probably your home country, right? That's where you live. And I go, what? It is completely insane.
Yeah.
It is. We've got to hang on to what we have. Don't you understand, Mackie? We've got to find other places where it's really cheap. No, you do not.
No.
You need to start looking. This is like this whole move toward eating seasonal food.
Yes.
So all these big names and the chefs and all that, they're all starting to be more, I guess, conscientious about what they eat and what they serve, and it's all regional. It's also seasonal, meaning it grows at the time nature intended to do wherever you live in your country. So that means you can't really get mango. Oh, I guess in Australia we could in the middle of winter. Yeah, but there's some things that, in fact, cherries we only get in summer in Australia, and that's the only time I never buy imported cherries. I only buy cherries when they're available in Australia, when they grow here, because that's just what I do. I try to be as seasonal as I can, because this whole import-export thing and shipping things across vast areas, land and oceans doesn't work for me. It's also not very economical or sustainable. But here we are. But we're not doing it, Dave. We haven't gone to the local manufacturing at all.
No. Do you remember, and I'll bring this up every time we talk about this supply chain in multiple countries that things go through. Do you remember trade balance?
Of course I remember trade balance.
Trade balance was such an argument towards local manufacturing. We've got to put excises on everything because we want to protect industry. Industry, we don't need that. We'll just import everything.
Yeah.
Right? What we'll actually do is we'll grow it here, export it to another country that puts it in a packet and then ships it back to us. And then we'll buy it. That's what happens.
Yeah. And
that doesn't make a lick of sense. I've been wanting to use that expression for a while.
Nice.
It doesn't make sense at all, because all of that fuel burning to move things around, it's got to get the climate people upset, right?
Yep.
And then you're supporting jobs, you see, but whose jobs are they? They're not ours. And if we keep throwing money offshore, what does it do to our dollar?
It kills it.
Yeah.
We are killing our economies. We're killing our ability to exist as an economy. So each nation, I mean, for good or for bad, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we are what we are. Each nation exists as an entity, right?
Yeah.
And within the nation, you have people that speak the same language, have a similar culture. Of course, not forgetting about immigration, etc. But there's a dominant culture and dominant language, etc. And that's how we've lived for the longest time. Then comes globalism, and now we are sectioned off into corporate entities. Some of us work for global organizations where policies made in one country and executed in other countries. And that's just how it is, right? My financial year for my company, it goes from end of March to beginning of April to end of March, because I work for an American company, right? Similar with Dave. And got nothing to do with the Australian financial year. It's our financial year. So we got different quarters.
Our calendar year is our finaal year.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, right?
Well, no.
No, sorry.
No, it's not. That's the American financial year, normally.
Yeah. It's June to July for
July to June, yeah.
Yeah, July to June. So this is where we are, and the overall implications are that the people that are inhabiting these countries and these cities no longer make enough money to live, right? So you can, once you've offshored and outsourced all the labor, right, that you used to have in your country, then what will these people do? These people, what will be their job? What will they do? Is my question, right? And the answer is, well, we haven't figured that out yet. We haven't. Oh, service industry. They can go in the service industry. There you go. No, it's actually insane, because eventually we will run out of countries that are cheaper, Dave.
And we'll run out of taxes that support the communities.
Yeah, completely.
Because you're coring your own country.
And nobody is taxing the global entities correctly. So we had something really crazy here in Australia called super profits. Now, it's a super
I love those.
We all know what profits are, right? You make money and it's, woohoo, look at me, I make money. Now, the mining concerns, and I can name, I don't care, BHP, Rio Tinto, etc. These were the biggest ones, two biggest ones, right? They didn't. So BHP moved its headquarters to Singapore for tax reasons, and Rio Tinto is based out of Spain. And so they're taking these massive super profits, and we're talking billions and billions of dollars, out of Australia. So digging up Australian stuff, they're selling it at profit, right, to whoever, China, whatever. Yep. And that's it. Thank you very much. We like digging up your stuff. And they're not being taxed accordingly. In fact, they're being taxed very little in comparison. Right?
Let's discuss then what happened as a result of the super taxes.
Well,
I can tell you.
They were shutting down assets. And
they dug it and stockpiled it.
Yeah.
And they just sold off what they could to stay under the minimum of the super tax threshold. Yes. Yes. Very clever.
And you're thinking, what? It's just nuts.
Yeah.
It is complete insanity. But here we are, right? So completely beholden by these large industries. That's what our politicians are.
And
that's why I think
you have the Googles and the Facebooks and all those things also that don't pay almost any tax at all in the countries they're in.
It really. Oh no, they don't. They do not. It really bothers me. It bothers me on a very fundamental level, right? Because
I pay more tax.
Yeah, well, there's that. We live in a society where people, ideally live and work together harmoniously, peacefully. Not always possible, but as much as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be in a conflict situation. It's not what we naturally trend towards. It's just not. But with the new realities of globalization, which have been with us now for a long time, the new realities of shifting of labor forces, right, and now even away from people but into complete automation. You wait till that takes off. I mean, in earnest, right?
Yeah.
It's happening already, but I'm talking about taking over all manner of jobs, both from a robotic physical kind of view as well as a software automation point of view. We're going to lose millions and millions of jobs. Or they can work on something else. Like what?
Okay, so I got an example for you in that very phrase. So one of the executive orders that Biden put in was to shut down the oil pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 11,000 people there that are suddenly out of work. And there was another 5,000. Oh, I forget what that one was for. I think fracking, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Rumsfeld piped up and said, oh, they can just work. Those people working in oil can just build solar panels, is what he said.
Because we need so many.
But where? There aren't any companies to employ ex-oil workers, oil pipeline workers that are ready to build for half the cost, half the wages of the oil. What does it make? It doesn't make sense. So the argument that these people will normally the transition would be over a vast period of time. Wouldn't be, you're sacked today, go and get a job in making solar panels. What?
Yeah.
It's meant to be a transition. Not just sign it out. I don't understand what America's fuel costs, man, are going to go through the roof. It's going to be crazy. And good luck to you for those who voted Biden in. Good luck. I don't care personally, because our fuel is already hideously expensive. So welcome into our camp now, right? That's what's going to happen. Sorry, Mickey, to derail you there.
No. But that's exactly the point, though. This is what's happening. All over the world, we are impoverishing our own nations. Like the first world nations are now being impoverished. The top earners will keep on earning, and we've seen this now with the whole pandemic crisis over the last year, that the billionaires are getting richer and richer, so that the top percentiles are making enormous fortunes of this, and the people at the bottom, and if you're in the middle class, you're at the bottom. Okay, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
If you don't belong to the top 1% or even 1% of 1%, you're bottom feeders, right? Because most of the wealth of the world is concentrated in those people.
Yeah.
Right? In these few. And it's unsustainable in the long term because our economies will collapse. They cannot do anything but collapse. If think of the economy not as an abstract thing, but a living organism. Like and I want to quickly explain. So you got a whole bunch of people working towards their own ends. People have shops, people have factories, people do things, they provide services, they cook, they eat, they consume as a holistic total within a country and then globally as well.
I'm with you.
When you take away the ability of certain sections of society to participate by taking away their income, right, or severely limiting their income, right, be it through unemployment benefit or a living wage, but a lot less than they would normally have expected to earn, you will have a knock-on effect that's going to be catastrophic. All of these thousands and millions of people that will be affected eventually will no longer consume to the levels that the economy needs them to. So the economy is going to change significantly. It will no longer be an economy that we know at all. It can't be, because there's nobody participating in it.
Well, the economy's been such a struggle as it is.
It is. But
this year we're going to give this much to this person, but it's got to come from over there.
Yeah, but it's scary.
It's a balancing act. You suck out all the money from it, it's going to deflate. It's got nothing left.
Yeah, but there's no balancing. They can't
so there was at one point a balancing act, right?
Yeah. It is a terrible travesty that we are witnessing here, and it's going to go on. And look, will Dave and I be affected? Oh, maybe now when we get older, because these are long-term consequences, right? Our children will be affected. Let's be very clear. Okay, our children. There's
a lot of service industry jobs that our children could go into. What happens as a result of coming out of university, though, is another matter.
All I can say is,
what's it going to be like by 2030? In 10 years, 9 years' time now, Maggie, 9 years. Be 2030.
Be independently wealthy if you can be.
There you go.
No,
that's a good goal.
I'm not being flippant.
No.
Or go and find yourself a nice piece of land and you don't have to get off the grid, but become self-sufficient to a certain level, so that maybe your children will be self-sufficient in the future. A couple of my friends or our friends have done this. One went up to Foster, another went out in the outback up in Queensland, and they've done that. Not easy, of course not easy, and they're not.
They're not spring chickens.
Well, they're not spring chickens, no. But they're not terribly old either. But these are things. If you wanted to be safe, relatively safe. I mean, look, how can I put this? My family lost everything in the wars. World War I, World War II. It wiped us out. We were pretty okay. I tell you, we were okay. Wiped us out completely. My grandmother, World War II, was running away from the Russians. She had a bicycle. She had I think a 14-year-old girl, her daughter, 12-year-old son, my mother, who was like 4, and an infant on a bicycle with a washing basket at the back of it. The washing basket was stolen in Dresden during the firebombing. My family was in Dresden during the night, where 100,000 people died in the firebombing. And while
I'm still apologizing.
Yeah, when that firebombing happened, someone took it upon themselves to steal the meager belongings they kept with them in their washing basket.
But you don't know that other person stealing from may have had nothing at all.
Oh, possibly. And they might even have died in the firebombing. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not blaming. I'm just telling you what happened, right? This is human nature. I'm not passing judgment.
No.
This is what it is. This is where we are. So I know all about this kind of stuff where you think, oh, you're going to be okay, and you got this and you own that. My grandmother's sister, or my grandfather's sister, I can't remember. She was managing. She owned a hotel in Breslau, which is now in Poland. So she was a hotelier. I mean, these people were well-to-do. Gone. in the blink of an eye. So don't think it can't happen.
Absolutely, Meki. And just for the audience who don't know, my uncle was one of the people on board the bombers that left England to bomb Dresden that evening.
There are no innocents. There are no guilty in war.
No, that's right.
They're all
directives.
Yeah. And can I just say this? And people have been talking about this recently a lot because it's the anniversary yet again, right?
Mm-hmm,
Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and so forth. So it's a horrendous human tragedy. Yes. However, why did they do it? They did it because when they stormed, I think it was Okinawa, the Americans, when they tried to take the islands held by the Japanese, or whenever they came up against the Japanese anywhere, they knew it would be a horrendous cost in human life. Because the Japanese simply don't surrender, right?
No.
So seppuku and kamikaze and all these terms, they mean something. It's about honor and so forth, And
they were dug in underground, not bunkers, but in a nest.
Yeah,
is probably the best way of putting it. They would just keep coming out of these four holes and shooting at them. It's crazy. And we know in the Japanese mainland that they had fighter jets on catapults ready to get launched should there be a mainland invasion.
So by killing these hundreds of thousands of civilians, horrendous. But I don't care anyone's standard. There's no excuse. Only an explanation. The explanation is by doing that and forcing the surrender of Japan,
because there wasn't going to be a surrender.
Potentially millions of lives were saved. So it's the old battlefield triage. What do we do? In order to avoid losing millions on both sides, it would have been a bloodbath.
Yes, it would have.
We go into shock and awe them. I mean, this is a weapon that has never been used. It's horrendous in its effect. It will kill hundreds of thousands, which it did. But it broke the Japanese spirit, right? Would they have done? But the thing is this, right? If Germany had held out more, the question here is, and this is a really interesting question, right? Would the Allies, Caucasians, mind you, have been willing to drop
bombs on Caucasians?
Fellow Caucasians,
yes.
Right? And the argument is that they wouldn't have. It was unthinkable. And that, of course, goes back to the very fundamental racism that exists everywhere. And it was very, very prevalent in World War II.
Yeah.
It was right. Yeah.
So yes, Meki, I've heard those debates too, and I question it because we're using sort of today's logic. I think then it might have been a little different if they weren't winning and Japan had conceded, because it took them days after the first bomb to acknowledge that there was damage because all the communications were down. And survivors didn't. Well, they weren't capable, so they had to have people go in and come back out and report. And I think the world would have maybe been just a little different, maybe. But having said that, was Hitler the kind of person that would have conceded with that kind of weapon being exposed to his people?
No.
There you go.
No, he wouldn't have. He called on them to fight even it was called Operation Werewolf, to fight on even after the surrender
to the end, till their eventual ends. Yep.
To the individual, ends to their. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, sort of, we're in a good place here, Meki. I wanted to talk about the GameStop.
GameStop.
Yeah.
Are we all familiar with shorting? So shorting, essentially, you're betting against the stock. It means you're saying to the world, and you're putting your money on where your mouth is, that this stock is going to fall, and then you're going to make money when it does.
That's right. You're going to. What you can do is you can buy in now, and on its way down, you can have bought it at the sale price when you exit it, and that profit is yours. Like it went up. It's called a short, and it's a thing.
It's a thing. Now, that actually happened during, just prior to 9/11, where a lot of
the big short.
The big short, the airline stocks. Anyway, so someone clearly knew something and they made a lot of money. Now, what happened though here is through Reddit, or social media in
Yeah,
general.
Reddit in particular.
Yeah, the small investors, mom and pop investors, I guess the home office traders, etc. They got together and decided, no, you know what? They got wind of it. They got wind that they were short. Like the big Wall Street guys were shorting this
In fact,
GameStop short.
They'd shorted GameStop to 140% of the value of the company.
So they said, you know what? Nah.
Yeah, we're not going to let that happen.
So they bought it, right? They bought so much of it, the stock skyrocketed. I don't know,
1,000%.
It's nuts. and of course that led to billions and billions of losses for the Wall Street houses.
Because if it goes up, just like if you buy stock and it goes down, but you're expecting it to go up, at some point they can do a call and ask you to pay the difference.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's a margin call, and no one likes that.
No. So
now,
this is where the hedge funds were stuck. They're stuck in this where we owe billions. It could be the end of our companies.
Yeah. And they stopped the trading. They stopped the little mom and pop traders from trading. Oh, you can't buy anymore. You can sell, but you can't buy anymore. Really? Now, that's actually, I don't know.
I think that's
actually illegal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that or not, right? I don't know if you're allowed to do that. But it's astounding. Oh, no, they're not playing fair. They're playing the exact same game, only better.
In fact, that's what they've been doing the whole time. Because you're allowed to short and you're allowed to buy as a put, right? You can do both of those things as much as you like on anything. You've got freedom. However, when a hedge fund is about to collapse, they called up the stock market, said you can't let us collapse. You've got to let people sell, but you can't let them buy anymore. Because that'll put us back into a better position. And it's still up. Like, it's crazy up. Wish I'd known.
No, no, right? but it's astounding that they stopped the people from trading. Right? And there's jury's still out on this as to what's going to happen.
Yeah, they don't know who to prosecute because, if you use the call to the ASX to say halt purchases, that's fraud. And this communication of people saying save the company, buy stock, well, unless you've profited from the sale of it, you can't be guilty. So, hey, I wonder if it's possible to do this with any stock with 3 million followers, right, on Reddit for that matter, and influence something, and we could all play the game. I'm not saying that I want to take part in it, but I'm saying we as the people, remember the we the people part of the conversation. I think it's extraordinary, and look, good on them for saving GameStop. They can now get back to doing what they do, games. They don't have to worry anymore. They've got money to invest. They've got some new capital. That's great. Do. Yeah. They should kind of fix the problems. I'd put in, rebalance my my books, get them back up to where they should be. But apparently, Mackie, the company wasn't going under in the first place.
No, but it could have. If
it certainly could have, given the reports that come out saying that your company's 140% shorted.
Yeah.
That's driving it down. So you've got to wonder who's responsible for this in the beginning. It's like, remember the currency trading fiasco that everyone was guilty of doing, not us, the big banks right around the world were all colluding and making money on the side.
Look, I'll say it here. I'll said it before. I'll say it again. I don't care. And I'll still start my car in the morning. The system has to stop.
Yeah, I hear you.
It needs now. We have allowed the parasites to control and corrupt the game.
The
for
rats
too long.
are steering the ship, Mackie.
Well, the thing is, you don't even have to see the fact. Look, if you make money and you contribute to society and you make millions, hey, good for you, right?
Yeah.
I got no issue with that, right? Billions, that's different and a moral issue, and I spoke about this ethically. There's no justification for billions.
100 million, you should get the letter saying you
I
won.
want capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But we have, forget millionaires and billionaires, because I could argue that either of those are contributing to society, right? You could. Talk about businessmen, entrepreneurs, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk of the world, Bezos, look, we all enjoy their products. But we now have for the longest time, we have allowed a class of people to exist that add nothing. They add nothing to the value of anything.
Mm.
They just play. They're
like leeches, Becky.
Sorry?
They're like leeches.
Yeah.
They're parasitics.
It's astounding, but we worship these parasites. Oh,
yeah.
Yes, look at that. It blows my mind, because once you understand it all, and look, I really need you guys to get educated on this. You have to understand fiat currency. You have to understand the fractional reserve lending system we're living under. Mm-hmm. You have to. You cannot. When people say the words, they say fiat, but they don't know what it means. Okay, I listen to people talk about Bitcoin, right, and all that, and cryptocurrencies. Well, but people are using fiat currency instead, which is backed by the banks. No, it's not backed by anything. Fiat currency is only worth something because the government says it's worth something. It has no backing of anything.
And that person making those arguments just read in the textbook, without knowing the truth. Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. You really have to understand how our economic system works. I would love to go back to a bartering system where everybody has to contribute. That would be fantastic. That'd be hard. Of course it would be. But if you had to actually contribute, think about this. If you had to contribute to society, like whatever you do, had to actually make things better, or someone wanted to do it, what are your skills? Personally, I can cook. I'm a pretty decent cook. Right?
He is, actually.
And so I could make a living that way. I mean, people would probably pay
He's still
for my
understating it, though.
Oh, but Dave has got many other skills. He's great at tech. He can fix it. But even if he didn't have that, he's actually got handyman skills. Right?
Yeah.
And so, or storytelling. I'm a storyteller. Dave is a storyteller.
I built half my house. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there are skills that we all have. We just don't know. Most of us, these are hobbies. They're hobbies that for us, right? They're hobbies, on the side. And so we do the real job, yeah, that we have. But think about your skills, right? If the chips were down, could you contribute meaningfully? Are you a hunter? Can you shoot? Right? Can you butcher? Can you kill? Can you prepare meat? Are you a farmer? Are you a carpenter? Are you a painter? Whatever it might be, right? These are people that contribute. Garbage people are more important than the richest banker in Wall Street. Right? Let's be very clear. You will know when the garbage people aren't around anymore. Okay. Oh my! I tell you, it's killing me. It is literally killing me thinking about this every day.
Well, you know what? I don't think that it's. I've got a friend of mine. They listen to the show, and hello, you'll know who you are, without saying the words. And they said, I want to be able to wake people up. Now, remember when we started, Mecky? We started, and everything we just discovered we'd want to tell people about. Do you remember those days?
I do.
Yeah. And I realized really quickly a few things. People had options when they listened to me prattle on about something I've learned that they don't care about. One was they thought immediately I was a crazy conspiracy theorist, thank you. Or it wasn't pertinent to their little work-life triangle, work-home-school shops balance thing, right? They didn't care. As long as it doesn't affect me, I don't want to know. But I was, boiling inside, and I had to tell them. And I said, I said to my friend, it doesn't actually make any difference what you tell them, because they're not going to take it in. Only when their cage has been rattled will then they turn to you and ask you what's going on. And as long as you don't go too deep, just say, there's this thing going on right now, and that they can maybe hold you as a source of truth. And maybe that's great. Let them park that, and that's where you should stand, because people aren't as stable as you think they are, and giving someone too much information or not in the right steps that took you there, because there must be 1,000 steps between where I started, Mecky, and where I am today. And if someone isn't versed, like you've just said, research fiat currency and research fractional reserve lending before you have the conversation with me, because I'm going to drown you. You won't be arguing from what you know. So what there is, it'll only be what you read. So you need to know what you know. You need to learn it. So Mickey, I've got this thing. I found this thing, and I didn't know, and this is really funny. That I didn't know today's topic until minutes before, and this, because Mickey did the show notes, and it always does a great job. And I was watching a documentary, and I noted down Orwell's last interview, and the most pertinent piece from this, and I'm going to read it all in one go, and there should be some time left at the end for a comment. Right?
Cool.
He said, "In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We will abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who's helpless. And if you want a picture of that future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face."
Yeah.
Wow. When I watch the news today, Becky, what do I see? I see the same things.
Yeah, it's happening.
I see this exact thing. The polarization of the US. My goodness. Accept loyalty to the party. People are being loyal to the party they follow.
Irrationally so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's evident in the way that people speak. As an attempt to counter an argument, they're exhibiting their loyalty immediately without the research behind what they are sprouting. It's quite extraordinary. And I don't see us moving away from this. It's so extraordinary. Even in his tuberculosis end, was he still as poignant as when he wrote 1984?
Yeah.
He seemed closer to that vision then than when he wrote the book. Like, it's more and more clear to him. And I think when you're more likely to be inward facing in your life, and what you have and haven't achieved, and the things when you're near death. And I think for him to have raised those points is, I think there's a lot of meaning in that. Anyway, this is David Make Your Shiny Side Out, and thanks for listening to the first hour. We're going to drop this feed and pick up the next one. And for those of you on the station, we'll see you in a couple of minutes' time. Hang tight.